Everyone, I'm a Pennsylvanian. My scout is a half mile back that way, and this is Coffee Stop. Morning, everyone. It is Sunday, the 13th of July, and we are in South Charleston, Ohio, at a wonderful little campsite, thanks to Hip Camp, that I don't have to set my tent up, which was nice. It was very nice. But we are going to talk about highway riding today because the past 2 days of riding, it's been mostly highway. And with an Indian Scout loaded down with all the gear you need to live while traveling, it's much different from just putzing around town on your bike. So let's talk about highway riding. Before we do, our coffee today comes from Nolan's Poorhouse in Media, Pennsylvania. Frankly, if I'm on the road, all of my coffee is coming from Nolan's Poorhouse in Media, Pennsylvania. We're drinking the Liberty Risk Espresso this morning. I don't care if it upsets you, I'm drinking it out of a Black Rifle cup. I love this cup because of the snake. But I do have to take small sips because this cup will be gone in no time if I drink it like I normally would drink coffee. But highway riding, it's different. It's a lot different. You know, I very much enjoy bends, curves, climbs, descents, depending on what the road surface is. When I'm out riding, I've been out to just enjoy everything around me while on the bike. And that's not how highway riding is. Now, naturally, you're going to want 2, 4, 12. You know, you need to be paying attention to a whole lot of everything going on. You need to be looking past the cars ahead of you. You need to be looking at the car directly ahead of you. You need to be looking in your mirrors to see what somebody behind you is going to do. I mean, there's a lot more information processing when you're on a highway, especially with how fast you're going. But it's not as daunting as you'd think. I mean, initially, I was like, I'm going to stay off the interstates, this, that, and the other. And then before I left, the weekend before I left home, I had to go down to my brother's house. So I just took 95. I said, all right, we're going 95. And it wasn't that bad. I didn't have a lot of weight on Betsy, but it wasn't bad. So I was like, all right, you know, if I have to do it, I can do it. And on Friday, I had to do it. Because the only way into Ohio from where I was 80. It took me 80 into Ohio. And let me tell you, as a motorcyclist, you need to be focused. So 80 out where I was is 2-lane highway, just running east-west. A lot of trucks, a lot of people in four-wheeled vehicles just wanting to go and be the first person in line or be the first person to pass that truck, or, you know, they don't think about the wind and how trucks affect their vehicle because they just feel a slight little, and it's like, whatever. That's not how it is on a bike. But truckers, they're not that bad. They're just doing their job. They're not out to get you, you know. They're just rolling along. Every once in a while, they'll try to pass another trucker. Sometimes that other trucker just decides they don't want to be passed. But you need to make sure that you're keeping enough distance between you and the truck because of the wind factor. A truck puts out a very strange wake pattern, if you will. And you'll start to feel it as you approach a truck. I mean, when you're behind the truck, it's not too terrible, but the instant you pull around that truck to start passing, you'll start feeling the wind, and your bike and you will start drifting, so you have to adjust for that. But truckers aren't so bad. They're just trying to do their jobs. It's the passenger cars that are the problem. So if you guys don't know, I don't know how many of you ride, but if you don't know, you don't want to be riding next to a truck on a motorcycle. You want to wait until the car that's passing it has passed it, and then you want to go as fast as possible past that truck. And I've been doing that pretty well for a while. I mean, we got caught in a rainstorm. Wasn't too bad, but we got caught in a rainstorm on Friday. And just do the safe thing, right? Go the speed limit, follow in the tire tracks of the vehicle ahead of you. Try not to go through the center of the lane if you can help it, unless it's been raining long enough that you feel confident that all of the oil in the center lane position is washed off. But we got to a point where we were climbing a hill. Well, I should say a mountain. We're climbing a mountain on 80, and two trucks were one back to the other in the right lane. And they had a sizable gap between them. And I'm getting ready. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pass these trucks. I'm gonna get ahead of them so that I can stop worrying about getting buffeted by the wind. And this passenger truck, I see him go, and he's going at a good speed. I'm like, okay, he's going. I'll hop in behind this guy. So he goes, he gets past that first truck, and I'm like, okay, I've got the room. I hop into the left lane. I am most of the way past that first truck, and the guy in the passenger truck just decides, well, I'm going to camp here. And he paces two 18-wheelers in the gap with not enough room for me to get over. So I'm now trapped between a passenger truck ahead of me in the left lane, an 18-wheeler immediately to my right in the right lane, and there is another vehicle that has come up to pass these trucks in the left lane. So I can't even back off and get back behind the truck. I'm stuck. And we're getting beaten by the wind. I mean, with the amount of weight I have on Betsy, she doesn't get thrown around like we do when we're naked. But it was a very uncomfortable situation. I was very frustrated. Thank goodness I wear a full face helmet, because I was cursing up a storm, saying some very unkind things about the jerk in the truck, passenger truck, who just decided to pace the 18-wheelers in the left lane. I pulled in the clutch, I revved the engine, I'm sitting there, and finally I see the guy in the passenger truck looking at me in his rearview mirror, and I just knife hand him. I was like, get out of my way. get out of my way, get over. And so he had this look of bewilderment on his face, like, He sped up enough to get between the two trucks. And me and Betsy got the heck out of there. We got past the idiot in the passenger truck. We got past the truck that he decided he wanted to pace. We got up. We got over. We got out of a terrible situation because I knife hand at an idiot driver. The 18-wheelers aren't the problem. Now, on the same ride down 80, it came time to get on to, I believe it was 76. Yeah, it was 76 because it was 80 to 76 to 79. So it was time to get on to 76, and that's, the highway spreads out into like 6 lanes, and there's all these different places you need to be, get on the right road and the right ramp and all of this. And we're just cruising along. You know, we're going about 3 over the speed limit. Just sitting there in 6th gear. And I'm looking at my mirrors and I'm looking ahead, and I look back at my mirror long enough to see something. And then that something was a car that had come within a couple of feet of my rear fender. I looked over and they were right there. That guy was incredibly impatient. There was enough room behind me not to get that close to me. He had no need to get that close to me. But in that person's mind, apparently they needed to. But they came up, they cut right close to me to pass me. They came around, they got it. 3 car lengths ahead, pulled in front of me. And then I guess they rolled down their windows because I got hit with a lot of smoke. A lot of smoke. Oh, that's a beautiful cardinal. Yeah. They hopped on to 76 north. I was going 76 south. But even after they had got ahead of me, came in front of me, opened up their windows, and dropped a whole bunch of smoke in my face, they then went all the way into the right lane. They could have passed me on the right, but instead they decided they needed to go around me on the left. You need to be really, really attentive when riding on the highway. Really attentive. Now, I get it. Driving on the highway is frustrating. In a car, it's frustrating. But there is just no reason for half the stuff drivers on the highway are pulling. Not at all. Go to pass somebody. This is later on that same day. This is on 79. I'm going to pass somebody. They're in the right lane. I'm in the right lane. I'm going 73. They're going something in the 60s. They're going under the speed limit. So I check my mirrors. I look over my shoulder, indicate, merge, and start going. This person decided I wasn't going to pass them. They started speeding up. And they put me in their blind spot. So I tried to speed up. They sped up again. So I backed off. I put my indicator on. I checked my mirrors. I got back behind them. And they slowed back down. So I waited. I watched. I looked ahead. I said, okay, there's another car in the right lane. This person's coming up to them, but they're coming up to this person under the speed limit. So, once again, I check my mirrors. I look over my shoulder. I wait. I check my mirrors. I wait. We get up close to the car ahead of this deranged individual, and I check my mirrors. I look over my shoulder. I indicate, and I go. And that person wanted to start speeding up. You could see them start to speed up, and then they realized there's a car ahead of me. That one driver was so intent on being the leader that they wanted to make my experience a dangerous one. And this was just somebody I was passing. I was trying to pass. They just didn't want to be passed, right? Why? Why? What is the sense in that? There's no need for that. But that driver felt the need. Another person, and this was yesterday, so Saturday, another person decided that I needed to excuse me. I needed to constantly be in their blind spot. They're in the passing lane. I'm in a regular lane of travel. They go to pass me, they pull up, and they put themselves directly beside me. I cannot see the driver. All I see is the pillar. I know that driver can't see me. So I slow down until I can see the driver in their side mirror. I'm like, okay, there's nobody ahead of us. Well, this driver slows down enough to put me back by their pillar. So I sped up. Well, they sped up. Why? Why? This is why when I put in my survey for the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, I said it should be a requirement for anyone going for their regular driver's license to know the basics about operating a motorcycle. If you don't understand how to operate your four-wheeled vehicle safely around a two-wheeled vehicle, you shouldn't be on the road. No, you shouldn't be on the road. Because I've been put into more dangerous situations because of other drivers than I've ever put myself in all my years on this earth. Other drivers. Either their ignorance, their need to be first, their need to be faster, their need to have that position of power. I don't know what their deal is. I don't. Because I don't stop and yell at these people. I only literally just knife-handed one guy because it was an incredibly dangerous situation and he put me in it. But you four-wheeled vehicle rollers, your safety makes you ignorant. And it's frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating. You have no idea how frustrating you four-wheeled people can be. Like as I mentioned before, in a four-wheeled vehicle, I drive like a grandmother. I'm doing that on my bike more out of necessity than anything. So frustrating. Another thing about highway driving. Debris. You really have to watch out for what's ahead of you on the road. This was a few The thing is, it's hard to keep track of what day all this happened, especially when you're on a highway, because it's all the same. It was one of the last 2 days. It was probably yesterday. No, it was 2 days ago. It was 2 days ago. It was on Friday. Later on in the day, when I was on 79, there was a work truck that had gotten onto the highway out about up by Akron, because we took that turn south to Akron thing, or turn south at Akron, thank goodness, because the sky was nothing but gray past Akron, and that turn south took me away from the gray. But this work truck hops onto the highway and just starts rolling, and I'm like, okay, I'm watching. A gust of wind must have gotten into his truck bed, because out of his truck bed came flying one of those little stick it in the yard signs. Whole sign. The placard thing, the metal H, they came flying out. And they separated ahead of me. I watched where it was going. The metal H went ping and hit about 3 feet to my left. And the plastic sign went up and over me. I saw that. I was like, oh shit. And I got ready for a terrible situation, but thankfully it just and separated ahead of me. But debris, it's the amount of exploded tires, the amount of roadkill. I mean, even if somebody is just drifting into the median or into the shoulder, they're kicking up rocks. You have to be attentive on the highway. If you're tired, get off the highway. Get off the highway. Because no amount of you being ready for it is ever going to make you ready for it when some idiot does something stupid ahead of you and puts you in a terrible situation. Or some idiot does something stupid behind you and puts you in a terrible situation. Or some idiot does something stupid beside you and puts you in a terrible situation. You need to be focused on what's going on at all times. And you cannot do that if you're tired. You can't. But otherwise, highway driving isn't bad. Sometimes you get a view, but most of the time you're so focused on what's ahead of you, you really don't get to enjoy it. Thank goodness for 360 cameras. But this is Chris. My cup of coffee is gone. And that's it for Coffee Stop. Guys, comment. Let me know what your experiences are on the highway as a rider or as a four-wheeled rider, one of you walled people. Let me know your terrible experiences on the highway or some situation that happened to you while you were traveling on it. Maybe your worst trucker experience, because I could get into that, but I wasn't the driver at the time. Don't forget to like the video. I don't say it enough because I don't like bothering you guys with this nonsense, but liking the videos definitely helps. And if you've randomly caught this or you've just been popping in and checking in and you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. I've got 24 subscribers right now, which is more than my original YouTube channel that I've had since 2006. Or was it 8? Whatever. The one YouTube channel I've had for forever has less views than this one, which is nice because I'm doing something with this one. So again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. I'm going to hopefully have some editing done today. Got a whole bunch of videos I got to go through, but today's a relaxed day and we're going to a museum, so I'm going to have myself a nice day, and me and Betsy going to take a ride with her mostly naked. But other than that, take care of yourselves, take care of your friends and family, and I will talk to you guys later.